everyone, and welcome to our Metabolism Matters webinar. I know y'all are super busy, so thank you for taking the time to hop on, and we hope to give some great information to you today. So my name is Jenny Turner. I am the virtual program coordinator, and with me, I have Nick. So Nick, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, so my name is Nick Monfilio. I am the program manager in Roswell, California. I'm super excited to do this presentation today. Hopefully get some good information out of it. And yeah, with the information that we do present today is intended for educational purposes only and should not be interpreted as medical advice. So on the agenda today, we're going to discuss what metabolism is, how do we measure it, and can we control it? So at the end, we'll actually have some time too to answer any questions that you all may have, and hopefully we can answer as many of those as possible. So let's talk about metabolism and what exactly is it? So in the most broken down version, metabolism is a chemical process that takes place in our body to keep us alive. Essentially, this process is constantly working to convert molecules into energy that can be used for a wide variety of functions in our bodies. This includes breathing, digesting food, exercising, and that's just to name a few. Our metabolism is at constant work 24 hours a day. Even when we're sleeping, our heart still needs to pump and cells need to be repaired. The energy that our body needs is reflected in a unit of measurement, also known as a calorie or kilocalorie. So when you pick up a food item at the store and you look at the nutrition label, you'll see how many calories or how much energy is in a serving of that food item. So on a daily basis, our bodies need a certain amount of this energy to complete the basic functions to stay alive. Then all the activity we do in addition needs to be accounted for as well. So those measurements that we use for our basic caloric needs are what's known as our basal metabolic rate and our non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And those are just two of the four measurements we use to formulate our total caloric needs for the entire day. So you might hear the terminology basal metabolic rate and resting metabolic rate, and sometimes it can be used interchangeably. There are some slight differences though between your BMR and your RMR. So your basal metabolic rate is the minimum number of calories your body needs to perform the very basic bodily functions. So this is including breathing, maintaining your body temperature, circulating your blood, and many, many more. One easy way to remember this is if you were just to lay in bed or lay on the couch all day and do absolutely nothing, this is the amount of calories you would need to consume just to survive. On the other hand, we have your resting metabolic rate. So this is more commonly referred to as non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. Essentially, this is the amount of calories your body needs while performing small tasks that are not specifically pre-planned exercise activities. So this can be walking into the kitchen and opening the refrigerator door, vacuuming, fidgeting, or gardening. Even though it may not seem like much, your body is moving, causing that chemical reactions to happen and energy to be expended. So earlier I mentioned your total caloric needs for a day, and this is also known as your total daily energy expenditure. And this is an estimation of how many calories your body is utilizing on a day-to-day basis. So there are four different components which make up the TDEE, which is your basal metabolic rate, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, thermic effect of food, and your exercise activity thermogenesis. So we've already covered those first two. So the TEF, or the thermic effect of food, accounts for all the energy needed to process the food which you've just consumed. So every time you eat a certain amount of energy for your body to digest, every time you eat, it takes a certain amount of energy for your body to digest, absorb, metabolize, and mobilize the nutritional contents of that food to the rest of your body. And this only counts for a small portion, roughly 5 to 10% of your total energy expenditure for the day. And the last one, or the final one, is your EAT, or your exercise activity thermogenesis. So this consists of your pre-planned exercises or your structured exercises with the intent of improving your health. And this is going to account for 5 to 15% of your total energy expenditure. Now, here are just some numbers showing some of the different types of tissues in the body and how many calories are being utilized while at rest. Now, these are just rough estimations as everybody's composition and genetics are a little bit different. But as you can see, on average at rest, your body utilizes more calories per kilogram of muscle than it does with adipose or fat tissue. Now, all this information is great, but how are we supposed to figure out what our BMR or total daily energy expenditure is? So one way you can do this is to estimate that number by utilizing these equations. Now, if you're not in the mood to convert your weight to kilograms, height to centimeters, and to complete this whole equation by hand, you can do a search for a TDE calculator on your computer, and that computer will run those numbers through this equation. And from there, it will give you a rough estimate of what your BMR and your TDEE number should look like. But again, this is only going to be a rough estimation.
Well, thanks, Nick. So another more accurate way of measuring your BMR is through the body gem. So the body gem is a small device that you breathe into in order to measure the exchange of respiratory gases. Our body loves oxygen and it needs it to produce ATP or energy for the body systems to function. So the byproduct of this process is carbon dioxide. By breathing into this device, it will be able to pop out a number which represents your BMR. And from that, we can give you caloric and nutrition information based on your goals. So like I mentioned in the previous slide, by simply breathing into the body gem device, we will be able to determine your BMR. It is completely painless and the test itself takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. You'll sit with your nose plugged and breathe through your mouth into the device. All materials that are used are disposed of properly to keep the test completely sterile. It is super important that prior to the test, we prepare properly to get the most accurate reading. If possible, we recommend completing this test in the morning because it's important that you do not drink or eat anything 4 hours prior to the test. Consuming caffeine or exercising within 4 hours before your appointment can give an inaccurate measurement. So it's super important to take all of this into consideration when scheduling your body gem test. Overall, the appointment can take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. The test itself only takes 5 to 10 minutes, but we want to make sure that we review your results with you and discuss your goals to help you better understand how you can make certain changes to your diet, physical activity, and just overall wellness. So what exactly do we learn from completing the body gym test? As you can see, there's a lot that it tells us. Again, our staff will make sure to review your results with you and make sure you understand everything fully and answer any questions you may have. The main items the body gym tells us is exactly how many calories you can consume on the days that you work out and the exact number of calories you can intake on the days you do not work out. So depending on your goals, it will tell you how many calories needed for weight loss, maintenance, or weight gain. So this is a really helpful tool to avoid plateaus because as your body changes by following the number the test gives you, you're able to retake the test to adjust accordingly in order to continue to meet your goals. So what are the things that can affect our metabolism or the number that we get from taking the body gem test? There are some factors we have control over, and unfortunately, there are some that we do not. The things we can control are our muscle mass, the amount of physical activity we're doing, what we're eating, how much sleep we get, and our stress levels. But unfortunately, we cannot change things such as our age or our genes. So it is important that we focus on the things that we do have control over. So let's focus on physical activity first. The American Heart Association's current recommendations for physical activity are to be getting at least 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. So this could include activities like brisk walking, dancing, tennis, bike riding, and water aerobics. You could complete 75 minutes per week of vigorous aerobic activity. Some examples include running, hiking uphill, jump rope, cycling, or heavy yard work. So you could also do a combination of both vigorous and moderate intensity activities. But overall, it's important that we spend less time being sedentary to gain the benefits of being physically active. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Overall, it is important that we are spending less time being sedentary to gain the benefits of being physically active. In terms of metabolism, our metabolism will increase the more active we are. So physical activity is a very important factor affecting our metabolic rate. So next up is, of course, our diet. As we have covered, our metabolic rate determines how many calories we can consume depending on our goals. So therefore, what we are putting in our bodies is very important. We recommend speaking to a registered dietitian or nutritionist for specific dietary needs. But more generally, following the dietary guidelines for Americans is a great place to start if you're wanting more nutritional guidance. A new handbook is released every 5 years with updated information. And we've included a link where you can view the 2020 to 2025 dietary guidelines. Some overarching themes that you'll see in the handbook are eating nutrient, what am I trying to say? Nutrient dense foods and limiting the amount of added sugars, saturated fats, sodium, and alcoholic beverages. MyPlate.gov is another great website to check out. They have a ton of recipes and resources that can help you develop healthier eating habits. So again, for more specific nutrition guidance, we suggest meeting with a dietitian or a nutritionist. So one other major factor that affects our metabolism is our muscle mass. So the more muscle mass we have, the more calories we burn at rest. American Heart Association recommends completing weight-bearing activities to strengthen muscle and bone at least 2 days per week. If you need more guidance when it comes to strength training and starting a routine, we do offer free quarterly personalized workout plans and on-site and virtual personal training services. So the free personalized workout plan can give you a better understanding of what a well-balanced strength training program looks like based on your goals. And then one of our staff members will talk with you and then develop a program that you can follow on your own. Personal training offers a more hands-on approach where you will work one-on-one with your trainer during mapped out sessions, and they will coach you through workouts and exercises as well as help you with your form. So in an upcoming slide, we have links where you can reach out to your program manager for more information and for personal training pricing if you're interested. The amount we are sleeping and our stress levels can also affect our metabolism tremendously. So if we aren't sleeping enough, our body will react by decreasing our energy expenditure. When we are stressed, cortisol is released, which puts our body in fight or flight mode. This temporarily pauses all regular bodily functions, which in turn slows our metabolism. So next month, we have a program called Mindful for Fives that will help infuse mindfulness into our daily routines to help cope with stress. The program will include weekly meditations, daily mindfulness activities, and more. So registration is now open, so you can click on the link to sign up and for more information on that Mindful for Five program. If you're interested in the body gym testing or any of our personal training services, we offer these services at all of our staffed fitness centers. Body gym testing is unfortunately not available for our remote employees as it's an in-person assessment. By clicking on the link on this slide, you can reach out to the program manager at your site to schedule an appointment or find out more information. If you're a member of one of our fitness centers, the body gym test is $28, and we do offer this service to non-members as well. So this includes non-HP employees, such as family members or friends, and the cost for them is $32. So these slides will be posted to the Teams chat right after this call, so you can have access to all of the links that we've touched on throughout the presentation. We will also be uploading the recording to our YouTube channel for reference, for you to reference back to as you need. So now we'd love to open the floor to any questions regarding metabolism, body gym, personal training, or really anything else we have covered during today's webinar. So feel free to hop your questions in the chat, or you can come off mute. So let me look at the chat. I didn't see San Jose listed as an option for a testing site. Correct. San Jose, we do not have a staffed fitness center there, correct? Nick?
That is correct.
So it's not offered at San Jose. Is swimming considered vigorous?
That is a great question. I would say it's probably dependent upon what kind of paces you are swimming at, and depending on the workout itself. If it is something where you're doing more of a sprint intervals, where you're trying to push your pace a little bit quicker, then yes, I would probably consider that more of a vigorous workout. If it's something to where you just have a certain distance that you have to complete, and the pace doesn't really matter so much, that might not be considered as intense or as vigorous.
Exactly. The sites that do have body gym testing: Andover, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Houston, and Roseville. And then I put the virtual fitness center on there because you can do virtual personal training. So that's an option as well. I took the metabolism test today in the morning. Really good information and insight. Awesome, Gerald. Thank you for sharing. That's cool to see. It really does give awesome information. What role does keto diet testing play with metabolism and the body gym testing?
That is a good question. Actually, if you want to, go ahead, Jenny.
What were you going to say?
I was going to get some clarification on the
So if
question.
someone's on a keto diet, to the extent where they're doing testing to see if they're in keto, how does that play into everything you talked about with metabolism? And then what is the impact on the body gem testing? So if someone were trying to stay in keto, when would they come in for testing? Does that matter? And would you expect the same type of information from their results?
Yes. So yeah, that is a great question. I think you'll still get the same kind of reading, as the body gym is just going to be testing your overall metabolism. So whether you're in keto or you're not in keto, your body's still going to be producing the energy that it needs to get you through the day. So you'll still have your metabolism of whatever it is. So you'll still get your reading of that metabolism of when you're on your keto diet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. The personal training sessions, we offer multiple packages and time length. So we do offer 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and 60 minutes. And then our packages are anywhere from 5 to 10. And again, if you're interested in personal training, definitely reach out to your program manager at your local site, and they'll give you our pricing and all of those packages for you to have. Does cold water versus room temp water play a part with metabolism? Does it help to have one better than the other?
That's a great question. Joe, are you talking about like ice, like the ice water therapy where you sit in cold water for an extended amount of time?
I feel like he's talking drinking water.
Drinking water.
Drinking water.
Yeah.
Got it. My mind didn't go there at first. That is a great question. I think it from what I know of my little knowledge of metabolism and water is that as you drink cold water, it obviously has to be warmed up to the temperature of your body. So your body will probably have to use a little bit of energy to convert the temperature of that water. But I don't know on what kind of a scale that actually is. So it might not have as big of an effect on your metabolism. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Love it. I'm totally not going to know how to pronounce this, but my EUFY SMART scale gives me BMR and several other readings. Is it a reliable tool in comparison to the body gem tool? I've never heard of that, so I don't know, Nick, if...
Yeah, I'm assuming that the BMR that it gives you is probably the same as that generalized equation. As a scale, as when you step on it, it kind of gives you your your weight, and if it's like a Bluetooth scale, which you can enter in your height as well. It'll just plug everything into that equation. It'll give you an estimate. So I'm assuming it's more likely an estimate, whereas the body gym will be a little bit more accurate than that reading.
Personal training sessions are only available for HP employees, but the body gym test is available for non-member. Let's see. I recently started swimming and have its goal to swim 50 laps in 50 minutes. So my answer would be yes, very vigorous. Yeah, swimming is tough, that's for sure. Love it. Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and stop our recording. If y'all have any